City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Here. Alderman Nguyen.
Here.
Alderman Wilson.
Here.
Alderman Holmes.
Here.
Alderman Tindem. Here. Alderman Grover. Here. Alderman Rainey.
Here.
Alderman Burris.
Here.
Alderman Fisk.
Here.
9-0.
We have a quorum. Welcome to the Monday, February 27th meeting of the Evanston City Council. First item is Mayor's public announcements, and I have one. On Friday, February 17th, I declared it Melissa Wynn Day in appreciation of her tireless efforts, which succeeded in successfully landing Trader Joe's grocery store at 1211 Chicago Avenue, Evanston, to open in early 2013. And here's a certificate to commemorate the event. That concludes the mayor's public announcements. City Manager, you see if you can top that.
Madam Mayor, I cannot. I have no announcements.
Thank you. City Clerk, do you have communications?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have communication. This day was the first day of early voting. We had 76 people to do early voting this day. I was number 2. Somebody beat me out. But early voting is in room 2200 from now until Thursday, March 15th. So if you want to beat the crowds, come into early voting in room 2200.
What's the time?
The times are 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday, and 9 to 3 on Sundays. We open 7 days a week. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, City Clerk. Next item on the agenda is citizen comment. First, we have Sharon Eckersall, then Frank D. Jeffress, who lives at 613 Sheridan Road, and Paul Hetku at 711 Custer. Please give your name and address when you come to speak.
Sharon Eckersall, 2519 Ashland, and I'm addressing the A18. I live 1 block away from the proposed Eastwood. They're trying to make Eastwood 2 ways from Central to the first alley. Well, the first alley on the right would be where that new development is going in, right on the right there. And then about 10 feet down is the alley that St. A funnels all their traffic through. And right now, with the dorm going in down that alley also, and only one side of the street parking, if you're to make it 2-way, you'd be taking away the parking on the west side of the street, which I counted on the way here is 6 spots, and that's the ordinance after this proposal, which leaves 10 spots for people to park from Central to Lincoln because it's only one side of the street parking. And Harrison's one side, and my street, Ashland, is one side. And they funneled the traffic for St. A's into the parking lot, back out onto Eastwood, or down the alley. I already had $2,500 worth of damage done on my car this year because when you come to turn by my house down the one-way street, I have told the city that it's 3 to 4 feet narrower right there. And the other night, a fire engine and fire truck came next door for a supposedly gas leak, and if we had had people on the other side of the street, the vehicles could not get through. And this whole neighborhood needs more attention, especially widening the streets for the fire vehicles that cannot get down it when you have 2 sides of the street parking at night. And with Eastwood and all the traffic, I don't think it's fair with the building on the corner that has 24 units. They have nowhere to park. They come over and park on my street or in the neighborhood, and across the street there are 36 more units that have to have spaces to rent or park on the street. And when you can't park for football games, basketball games, St. A functions, it's a little difficult in that neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Frank Jeffress. I live at 613 Sheridan Road, and I am here to comment on the proposed increases in the health department inspection fees for the farmers market. And I first want to apologize for the misstatements I made before the Human Services Committee when they last met, when they took up this bill, this ordinance. It is my understanding that the health department personnel did not demand cash on the spot from the vendors at the Emmanuel Lutheran Church Fair. They were very brusque, though. And so I want to apologize for the statements I made. I'm not opposed to the health department inspections at all. And I understand that some of the changes that you intend to make, that is, the health department fees will last, the licenses will last for 1 year, and one payment will cover a vendor for all farmers markets in Evanston for that year. I'm very supportive of that. But I also want to point out that there are the increase in fees that you will be opposing on some vendors will be very significant. For example, in the low-risk category, you will be voting to increase fees by 66% on low-risk vendors. Now that you say, well, $50, that's not much. That could be a make or break for a profitable year for one of these vendors. Frequently, the vendors you find in this low-risk category are those who are attempting to start a new business, to provide employment for themselves, or to generate additional income, or to incubate a new idea, a new business. In the past, these vendors have not been able to get a space to sell at the large downtown Saturday farmers market. And the manager and I had a discussion about that during the Human Services meeting. The markets where they sell their goods are very different than the Saturday market. They're very low traffic. They don't sell or have the opportunity to sell as much as those vendors that sell at the Saturday market. I know the other thing I want to ask or point out is, can the city fully justify the increase in fees by demonstrating there will be a meaningful increase in the hours spent on these inspections? From my interactions with farmers and vendors, they do not feel that the current level of fees are justified by the amount of contact they have with the inspectors and the quality of that impact, or the quality of that contact. They're very skeptical. Now, I readily acknowledge that you're going to pass these things tonight. You'll feel justified that the city can raise these fees and needs it. But I ask you to postpone this vote and to reach out, ask whether the health department has reached out to these vendors and understood what the impact of these fee increases will be on the low-risk vendors, for example. Better understand how they function and what they contribute to the city.
Mr. Jeffries, it's my fault because I didn't say we have a 3-minute limit, so if you could wrap up,
Okay.
I'll give you an extra minute. Go right ahead.
And understand the cost-benefit of these inspections. I think it's very important for you to really consider that before you vote for these increases. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor and Alderman, Paul Hletko, 711 Custer. I think you all kind of know me by now, but I'm here to comment on items A8 through A10, and thank you for giving these issues your consideration, as well as an issue that's potentially a little bit more near and dear to my heart as A20. And I apologize for missing the meeting 2 weeks ago. I was out on the West Coast trying to drum up more business so that I can sell more liquor to justify my increased production. And it was very successful, so it was all good, but thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Padma Rayo, BK Rayo, Sharon Eckersall, and Mike Vasilko. Sharon, is there a reason you're speaking twice? Okay.
Padma Rao, 2246 Sherman. My comments were reviewed and approved by my attorney. We object to this council's vote at Kendall to sentence over 24 mature trees to death for no reason and to endanger pedestrians with an alley that dumps traffic onto the narrowest street. The Evanston Patch reported that your first ward member assured the developer's lawyer that your vote would be pushed through no matter what taxpayers say. Not a single one of you expressed any care whatsoever for taxpayers' concerns. Instead, you voted with no discussion. Worse, your mayor, your lawyer, and your 8th Ward member attacked us for stating concerns. As shown in the packets for several of your meetings, including August 8th, you approved payments to Holland and Knight for legal representation totaling tens of thousands of tax dollars. But the packet for your March 14th meeting also includes a letter from the developer's lawyer stating that the developer hired the same law firm to sue the city. You ignored Illinois Supreme Court rules and case law prohibiting such double representation against a current or former client. Instead, you tried to silence us when we raised these concerns. Is it because your first ward member's son works for the same law firm? Isn't that a conflict of interest? Didn't you read the Illinois Supreme Court case in re Himmel, as I suggested last time? I submit that case imposes an absolute duty upon you to report your lawyers' and law firms' misconduct instead of demanding that we stop asking about it. Protect the trees and pedestrians at Kendall. Stop wasting tax dollars on your pet projects and personal vendettas. Listen to the taxpayers. If you don't do so now, you'll hear them when they speak at the polls. See you all next time.
Thank you.
B.K. Rao, 2246 Sherman. My comments were reviewed and approved by my attorney. They are centered around the issue of unnecessarily killing trees at the Kendall property and threats to pedestrian safety on Colfax Street because of an ill-conceived alley design. The resolution was passed without any one of you discussing any issue regarding the objections raised by taxpayers. Your first ward member assured the developer's lawyer that she had the votes to push the project no matter what the citizens' comment. This news was published in the Evanston Patch, and none of you raised any questions regarding your first ward member's behavior. That means you are all guilty of encouraging such an act. The situation was made even worse by the public display of disregard for freedom of speech by your mayor, your lawyer, and your 8th Ward member. Then comes another demonstration of your disregard for public concerns, your attack on the township of Evanston. Your attempt to take over the township is not only unacceptable, but also unworkable. Your mindset is not tuned in to responsibly discharge the duties of the township, but instead to raid its piggy bank that is meant to help the most needy persons. To take from the mouths of the needy even the few crumbs that don't even come close to filling the ever-expanding hole in your budget is beyond bizarre. Psychologically, as well as logically, isn't it a sickening thought? Isn't your irresponsible and imperious attitude disgusting? Aren't these actions desperate and shameful? Evanston, we have a problem. It is called the City Council. By the way, how much did it cost the taxpayers when the council rented a lawyer on February 22nd to oppose the taxpayers? Is this the behavior of tax savers? Any 5-year-old would say, that's bad. Any adult would say, it's mad. I'll be back.
Thank you.
Sharon Eckersall, 2519 Ashland. I'm here to address Channel 9 had an interesting article on TV the other day about introduction to what is called a property tax gap bill downstate. And this would mean that municipalities that have properties decreasing in value cannot raise taxes in their village or town like as Evanston. But from what I understand, I don't know if it was home rule or non-rule, but our city would be exempt from this, which would be a very big help to the taxpayers. And I would like somebody to find out more about it, where it might benefit our taxpayers. I am working early voting in the courthouse, in the assessor's office. Today, the line, not for voting, was from the assessor's office all the way to security, because people are frantic and they need their exemptions. They're basically senior exemptions, senior freezes, and we only had 28 voters, Rodney. So we didn't have very many out there. But we need relief for the taxpayers here, and I feel very strongly about it. I help people all the time appeal their taxes and get their exemptions in line to help them, to the effect that with all the knowledge I've had as the former assessor, I am getting 2 courses approved downtown or downstate because I'm a CE instructor for Illinois for real estate, and they'll both be on property taxes and how to appeal them. So I'm doing what I can to help people, even though I'm not the assessor anymore, but I feel that strongly about helping our taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Vasilko, 2728 Reese Avenue in Evanston. 3 unrelated subjects. I'm trying to breeze through them pretty quickly. I understand the draft economic development plan presented at last week's EDC meeting will be discussed with residents at an open community workshop prior to the March council meeting. I'm grateful that the beginning of a plan was issued. I ask that the community participation in shaping the economic development plan be given adequate time. I'm concerned that one meeting, a meeting that's not yet on the public calendar, may not be sufficient time. Second, I received a copy of the Evanston 2012 Spring Summer Recreation and Arts Activity Guide. I'm also a member of the Evanston 150 Water Everywhere Committee. One of the committee's subjects is equal access to all of Evanston's beaches for all Evanston citizens. The point being that not all residents can afford the seasonal fees, not to mention that many residents can't afford the additional costs for the kayaks and the paddle boards, hobbies, and the like. Making tokens available through one source or another does not really remove the perception that Evanston's beaches are preferential to some and not to all by way of imposing these fees. This perception is reinforced by the photograph on the activity guide cover. There's no person of color in this photograph. This is not a reflection against the photographer or the person who selected the photo. It is just a bad reflection on the city and a factual reflection on the beach cost policy. I'm just going to circulate that if you want to take a look. I read every local paper I can when I have time. I am bringing one article, a commentary actually, to your attention in preparation for the city's trip to Springfield next week. John Cass of the Chicago Tribune and others have written often about the corruption in Springfield, the never-ending manipulation of the state budget, falling state revenues, ever-increasing taxes and fees. The state is now considering pushing the burden of unfunded pensions for teachers and others onto local communities, thereby helping their bottom line, of course, but hurting ours. Michael Madigan, in particular, John Cullerton and others have controlled state government and have profited from it for decades. In a separate letter to you, that you will receive in the coming days, I'll be asking those traveling to Springfield to confront the Speaker of the House and the Senate President and ask that House Bill HJRCA 0020 be brought to the floor for a vote. This bill was sponsored by Representatives Biss and Gable last year, actually, and calls for term limits for the Speaker of the House and the Senate President. There's enough copies here for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes public comments. Alderman Rainey, could we have the consent agenda?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let me just fix this here. Thank you, Madam Mayor. The consent agenda. First is approval of the minutes of the regular council meeting of February 13th. Administration and Public Works Committee requests your approval of the payroll through February 12 in the amount of $2,516,434.32. The Evanston bills through February 28, the amount of $1,218,581.97. The committee requests your approval for a contract award for professional evaluation and design services to McGuire, Gilski and Associates, Inc. for the roof replacement at the Police and Fire Headquarters at a total cost of $21,531.60. Approval of a contract extension to G&L Contractors is requested for 2012 for granule materials in the amount of $35,850. This is a 0% increase from the previous year. Next, we ask your approval of a contract award to G.A. Johnson & Sons for the 2012 high lift pump station window replacement in the amount of $56,000. We request your approval also of a contract award to Stanley Consultants, Inc. for construction engineering services for the Sheridan Road Signal Modernization Project extending from Chicago Avenue to Central Street in the amount of $90,933. The committee requests your approval to purchase one John Deere combination backhoe loader replacement for the Utilities Department in the amount of $76,957 from Westside Tractor Sales. We request your approval also to purchase two replacement heavy-duty work trucks for the Utilities Department in the total amount of $184,367.08 from Curry Motors and from Prairie Archway International Municipal Fleet Sales. Next, your approval is requested to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Wiss Janney Elstner Associates, the current consultant engineers for the 2011 Comprehensive Parking Garage Repair Project for a close-up visual inspection and hammer sounding of the entire facade of the Sherman Plaza Garage, including a report describing the findings and recommendations for future engineering and repair for a not-to-exceed amount of $60,000. The committee requests your approval also for auditing service contract with Baker, Tilly, Virchow, and Kraus in the amount of $324,550 for a 4-year extension with the first year cost of $78,800. The staff requests your approval and acceptance of the year-end FY 2011 financial report and place it on file. We request your approval of modifications to the 2012 capital improvement program in the amount of $3,361,000. Staff is recommending changes to the 2012 CIP program as a result of the reevaluation of the streetscape program. A6 is Resolution 20R12, which is off the consent agenda, and I believe it's being held in committee. Is that correct? Yes. It's being held in committee. Okay. Next is A at the request of the manager. A7 is Resolution 15R12. We request you authorize the city manager to negotiate and execute a residential lease for 631 Howard Street, Unit 2. I believe I'm taking A7, A8, A9 off the consent agenda. I am moving introduction of Ordinance 26012, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a commercial lease with options to purchase for property at 62931 Howard Street. Next, request your approval of Ordinance 11012, amending Title VII, Chapter 15, Board of Local Improvements by enacting a new section for alley paving. This is being held This is being introduced and being returned to the committee. No, it's being held in committee. I'm sorry, I'm out of practice here. Being held in committee for staff to come back with some additional information. Next is Ordinance 14012, decreasing the number of Class D liquor licenses due to the closure of Donatella Mediterranean Bistro. This is for introduction, and that location is 1512 Sherman Avenue. Next is Ordinance 15012, which increases the number of Class D liquor licenses to permit issuance to Crêperie Saint-Germain for at 1512 Sherman Avenue. This is for introduction. Next is Ordinance 16012, increasing the number of Class D liquor licenses to permit issuance to Todorki LLC at 52426 Davis Street, first floor. Next, Ordinance 18012, decreasing the number of Class B liquor licenses due to the closure of Merle's Steakhouse from 17 to 16. This was at 1727 Benson Avenue and is for introduction. Next is Ordinance 23012, increasing the number of Class B liquor licenses to permit issuance to Evanston Pub, Inc. This is being introduced, Madam Mayor, and returned to committee. Next is Ordinance 20012, amending Title 10 Motor Vehicle and Traffic, Chapter 11, to exempt residents of Parking District A from the 2-hour parking restriction on Benson Avenue, East Side, University Place to Emerson Street. For introduction and action, and I'll introduce this with the chairman addressing it later. Ordinance 21012, amending the city code to allow two-way traffic on Eastwood Avenue from Central Street to the first alley to the south. This is for introduction. Also, the same situation, the committee chair will address this after introduction of Ordinance 22012, amending the city code to prohibit parking on the west side of Eastwood Avenue from Central Street to the first alley south. And Madam Mayor, just a minor correction, should be 1700 to 1722, not 72. Next is Ordinance 13012, amending Class P liquor license. The Liquor Commissioner recommends City Council adopt Ordinance 13012, which increases the quantity of alcohol a craft distiller is authorized to manufacture and store to 15,000 gallons per year. The increase is in accordance with Illinois state law, which was amended effective August 19, 2012. Next, under Planning Development, Resolution 14R12, we request your approval of a plat of consolidation for 4 lots located at 1700 to 1722 Central Street, which is consistent with the amended plan development for that location adopted September 2012 for action. Okay, let's see. Ordinance 5012. Take it off. Okay. I was going to ask if this should be removed. P2 is off the consent agenda and will be addressed by the committee chair. Next, P3, the Zoning Board of Appeals and city staff recommend the adoption of Ordinance 19012, which grants a special use to permit the operation of a child daycare center by Unity Nursery at 829 Foster Street. Under Human Services Committee, approval of the Health Department annual farmers market fee, which is a 3-tiered fee based on risk. This is for action. Under the Rules Committee, Ordinance 12012, I'm removing that from the consent agenda, and that will be addressed by the Rules Committee chair. Madam Mayor, that concludes the consent agenda, and I move approval. Second.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey. It's been moved and seconded to pass the consent agenda. Seeing no lights for discussion, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Aye. Alderman Wilson. Aye. Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
9-0.
9-0, the consent agenda passes. Alderman Burris, would you please do Administration and Public Works?
The committee asks your approval of, I'm going to go through A7, A8, and A9. Oh, we have to do them separately, sorry. The committee asks for approval of A7, Resolution 15-R-12, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a residential lease for 631 Howard Street, Unit 2.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 15R12. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson. Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Alderman Grover. Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the motion passes.
The committee asks your approval of A8, Resolution 17-R-12, authorizing the city manager to negotiate a community development block grant loan agreement with Ward 8 LLC at 629 Howard Street.
Second.
It's for action. It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 17R12, authorizing the city manager to negotiate a community development block grant loan agreement with Ward 8 LLC at 629 Howard Street. Alderman Rainey.
Well, since these are off the consent agenda for a reason that I guess wasn't necessary after all, let me just say one word about this, that the $130,000 loan from the Community Development Block Grant has been approved by HUD, and the good thing about this is it is a loan, and it's a 4% interest rate, and the money will be returned to the fund. And while this amount of money is targeted for the south end, the money that is restored to the CDBG fund can be used any place in any CD target area. So that's a very positive thing.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris. Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the motion passes.
A9, the committee asks your approval of Resolution 18-R-12, authorizing the city manager to negotiate a tax increment financing construction grant agreement with Ward 8 LLC for property located at 629 Howard Street.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 18R12. Seeing no lights for discussion, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
No.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. 8-1.
8-1, the motion passes.
A10, I'm deferring to Alderman Rainey to discuss this.
Madam Mayor.
Go ahead, Alderman Rainey.
Madam Mayor, this was introduced in the consent agenda, and I would like to move to suspend the rules.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite.
Aye.
Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the rules are suspended. Alderman Rainey?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Mayor. While we went through this at Administration and Public Works, not all members of the council were present at that time. And I would just like to express my appreciation to our staff, Nancy, Johanna, Nyden, Steve Griffin, city manager, everybody who helped work on this. Ted from Rehab has done a tremendous amount of work at this location. And I've done a little work too on this. And I appreciate the council's support, and especially my constituents' support. There seems to be a reputational issue of, oh my God, how could there be a wine bar on Howard Street? Number one, it's a class thing, and number two, it's people who just don't know who lives around Howard Street. So I just wanted to say for the record, for the council minutes, that the city paid $237,650 for this property because it was a deteriorating property and not producing anything in terms of positive image or anything for the city. We intend to put $40,000 of CD money in the rehab of the 2 apartments and $85,000 into the restoration of the tenant space on the first floor, the commercial wine bar space. This is a lease-to-own contract, and the total amount that we are spending on this building, including the purchase price, is $362,650, and the total amount of the purchase price for the tenants at the end of 3 years is that very same amount. So we're doing really well in recouping this money, and frequently we do not recoup money in tax increment financing district expenditures, and that's okay too. I have no problem with that because the point is to incentivize economic development. And if there were ever a classic case, as I said earlier, this is one that we can really use as an example of what a TIF can do for a neighborhood that is really in need of development. So I appreciate, I know Alderman Holmes had some concerns about suspending the rules, and I appreciate her support on this, and Alderman Wilson and the rest of you. I can't wait till it opens. I want you all to be there, and the drinks are on me. So
That's on TV.
I know, but that is people at the.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Alderman Rainey.
Did I move this?
Go ahead and
I
move
did.
it, please. No, go ahead. and
All
move.
right, we suspended the rules.
We
Now
did.
I would like to move approval of the lease to own, and that would be item A10.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 26012, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a commercial lease with option to purchase for property at 629 to 631 Howard. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
No.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. 8-1.
8-1, the motion passes.
Thank you.
A18, the committee requests suspension of the rules for introduction and action of ordinance 21-0-12, amending the city code to allow two-way traffic on Eastwood Avenue from Central Street to the first alley to the south.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to suspend the rules. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the rules are suspended.
The committee asks your approval of ordinance 21-0-12, amending the city code to allow two-way traffic on Eastwood Avenue from Central Street to the first alley to the south.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to pass ordinance 21-0-12. Seeing no lights for discussion, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson. Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the motion passes.
A19, the committee requests suspension of the rules for introduction and action on ordinance 22-0-12, amending the city code to prohibit parking on the west side of Eastwood Avenue from Central Street to the first alley to the south. I move.
Been moved and seconded. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
A19.
Yep. Sorry, Rodney.
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the motion passes. You're getting a workout,
I know.
Alderman Burris.
Up and down. The committee asks your approval of ordinance 22-0-12, amending the city code to prohibit parking on the west side of Eastwood Avenue from Central Street to the first alley to the south.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 22-0-12. City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris.
Aye.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
9-0.
9-0, the motion passes. Alderman Burris, congratulations. Are you done? Thank you. Alderman Holmes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ordinance 5-0-12, granting a special use for a Type 2 restaurant at 914 and a half Noyes Street. Move approval.
Second.
Madam Mayor, we took this off of the agenda because we had a minor amendment addressing truck deliveries, which we'd like to also recommend for approval tonight. At the last meeting, we talked about only large trucks that cannot access the alley would be allowed to deliver on Noyes Street. But all other trucks that can enter into the alley should be able to go there rather than being, just on Noyes. So I would move approval of the amendment.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the ordinance as amended. Seeing no further lights, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen.
Aye.
Alderman Wilson.
Aye.
Alderman Holmes.
Aye.
Alderman Tindem. Aye. Alderman Grover. Aye. Alderman Rainey.
Aye.
Alderman Burris. Aye. Alderman Fisk. 9-0.
9-0, the motion passes.
That concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Holmes. Next, Alderman Fisk. Give rules,
The library.
library.
01, ordinance 12012, amending the Evanston City Code to make certain changes to the City of Evanston Public Library Board's authority and budget. Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Alderman Rainey?
I'm opposing this, and the reason is that I support the development of a library district, but I do not support this, and I do not believe just because a few other communities or a lot of other communities do it, that we need to do it this way. I think it's absolutely anti-resident and anti-taxpayer to have a group of people who are not elected by the by the members of the taxing body to be able to tax people. It just makes absolutely no sense. It is taxation without representation, period.
Thank you. Alderman Burris?
I would echo those comments. I know I said it last time when we discussed this as well. I don't know that I'm all proposed for the in support of the library district either, because I'm not sure that works as well. But I'm also opposed to going forward with this recommendation.
Thank you. Seeing no further lights, City Clerk, would you call the roll?
Alderman Braithwaite. Aye. Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Wilson.
No.
Alderman Holmes.
No.
Alderman Tindem.
Aye.
Alderman Grover.
Aye.
Alderman Rainey.
No.
Alderman Burris.
No.
Alderman Fisk.
Aye.
5 to 4. To go ahead.
5 to 4, the motion passes. Alderman Rainey.
Madam Mayor, I know that we took the vote, but I think that given that it is a 5 to 4 vote on such an important issue, that the city manager should reconsider this matter and give it a little more thought before moving forward. There's just not overwhelming support for this.
There is not overwhelming support, but there is majority.
I'm not asking for any decision.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it's a huge change, and be thought over.
Thank you. Next is call of the wards. And we start with Alderman Braithwaite. Thank you. Alderman Nguyen.
Very briefly, Madam Mayor, thank you very much for your lovely award to me. But I do want to point out that that award really should say many other names on it, especially Johanna Nydens and other members of the economic development staff. They're not here this evening. This is for the Trader Joe's coming to Chicago Avenue in Evanston. I'm just thrilled that Trader Joe's has finally recognized what we've always known, that Evanston really, we're their customers. And no matter where it came in Evanston, they were going to do excellent business. And we're thrilled to have them here. And it really is a testament to our terrific economic development team. So thank you very much. And I'm just thrilled to have worked with them it was a long year, but it worked. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again. Alderman Wilson.
Thank you. It's come to my attention, and it's actually been drawn to my attention previously, that there are some problems, at least in my ward, with regard to the transmission of high-powered radio signals that are interfering with telephone service, cable TV service, and other electronic services. And interestingly, the FCC, while they have adopted regulations, apparently does not enforce those regulations on that kind of level. However, the FCC did promulgate regulations that allows state or municipal or local governments to adopt the FCC regulations and enforce them on their own. So with that in mind, I would like to make a referral to the APW committee and request that the law department draft a proposed ordinance to adopt those FCC regulations to enable us to enforce them, to protect the utilities that are hopefully enjoyed by most of us, but apparently not enjoyed by everybody because of these high-powered radio transmissions. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Holmes.
No report. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Alderman Tendem.
No report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Grover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a reminder of a 7th Ward meeting on Thursday at 7 o'clock at the Chandler Newberger Center. There will be no refreshments, but lots of referenda. If you're not already talked out about our 3 referenda on the March 20th ballot, come and discuss at a ward meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Rainey.
Madam Mayor, just to thank everybody for their support for the wine bar and lease on Howard Street, and to wish the new owner-operators who are in the audience tonight good luck.
Thank you. Alderman Burris.
We have a 9th Ward meeting this Wednesday, February 29th, which only comes around every 4 years, so at 7 p.m. at the Levy Center. Hope to see you there.
Thank you. Alderman Fisk.
Yes, and the quarterly 1st Ward meeting Tuesday, March 6th at the library, as usual, 7 to 9 p.m.
Thank you very much. Alderman Wilson, did you have a motion?
I do. Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes, ILCS 120/2A, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding real estate, security, litigation, and minutes. These agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act. These exceptions are 5 ILCS 120/2A, C5, C6, C8, C11, and C21.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
I got it. I know.